Hello and welcome, my name is Carl, and for a change we've got a short episode. Unlike the previous 3 or 4 that were quite lengthy because they were very technical, today's are going to be a short one. So what are we covering? Well, I'd like to share with you some techniques for mounting graphics. It's a very straightforward, easy process, but the key thing is preparation and doing it properly. If you mount these graphics correctly, they will stay on your bike exactly where they're intended to be, and they'll stay on there for a good period of time. You'll get many years use out of your graphics before you have to change them. Now, it's not just for new bikes, but for your older bikes, even the older GSs, you can add quite a new lease of life to your motorbikes by just a simple change of graphics. So what we're going to do today, we're going to fit some graphics to these 2 plastic panels on the left hand side. I'm also going to remove the right hand side panel, which is the battery cover. All you need to do that is a TX25 to take the panels off, and then this one here, this is really easy. You're going to put your fingers underneath, lift it out of the socket, wiggle it, and it comes straight off. But we're going to take these inside so that we can clean them in warm soapy water first. Now, I've also got some graphics to go on the front fender. Now, if I wasn't making a YouTube video, what I would do is take the front wheel out, take the fender off, and install those graphics inside while I'm doing these. But I realise that that's going to be a problem for a lot of you. You're not going to want to put the effort in to take the front wheel off to fit some graphics. So once we've done these, we'll come back into the garage, and you can do it on the bike. It really isn't a problem. You just have to follow the same cleaning protocol as we're going to use with these panels on the front, and I'll show you how to do it. It's just simpler and easier inside, so we can mount those gel graphics perfectly, but I'm sure we're going to be fine on the front. So let's go inside and let's get started. So now we've got our panels off and we're inside, the first and most important thing is we need to clean them. So all I'm going to use here, this is regular fairy liquid, washing up liquid, whatever you're currently using for washing up your pots in your kitchen, that's the stuff that we need to use to start with. Now we're going to take our panels, we're going to put them in warm soapy water, we're going to clean the inside and the outside, because what happens is silicone or any of the sprays or polishes that we've been using on our motorbikes do actually get on these surfaces, and if we don't clean the inside at the same time, when we use our hands to turn it over, we're moving anything sticky from the inside back onto the outside surface. So the next part of our process is probably the most important. We're going to use alcohol pads to clean the surfaces that we're going to put our graphics onto. Now you can use isopropyl, or you can use alcohol pods. You can pick these up in just about any chemist or pharmacy. They're really not very expensive, and they're just little tiny packs. You can buy sprays that you can use, but they're very, very simple, and the process is the same for all of them. So all we're going to do, we will just open up one of these pads, tear them open. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean our fingertips, because our fingers have oil on them, and we don't want to stick any oil on our lovely new clean panels. So that's the first thing. Then we're going to move on to cleaning the panels. You need a second pad, and all you need to do is wipe the panel surfaces down that we're going to put the stickers onto, like this, and just remove, and what this does, it removes any oily residue that's still left on there after we've cleaned them in the warm soapy water. So our panels are dry, the alcohol is evaporated. What we need to do now is prepare the graphics. Now the graphics normally come on a piece of backing paper, and it is very tempting to just peel this backing paper off and then stick it directly onto the panel. But that's not the right way to do it. You end up with your graphics possibly in the wrong place. So what we do need to do, we can either use a sharp hobby knife on a cutting pad, and we want to carefully cut the excess, this white paper, and remove it. You can also use a pair of scissors, but either way we need to remove as much as we can in terms of this white excess paper off, so that we can see exactly where these are going to mount on our panels. So let me prepare these for you. So now we've removed the excess white backing paper from the graphics, and it will make our installation process a lot easier. So with large graphics, it's really important on the back to peel a section back and cut a strip out in the middle, so that you can mount it onto the plastic panel in a small strip in the middle, so that you can get your positioning absolutely spot on. But with such a small graphic, we can just take away the end and just do this slightly differently. So we're going to cut the end off like so, so that we can position that, have a look carefully where we think it needs to be, like so. Tap that down. Now we can have a look and we can see whether we've got our positioning in terms of the plastic behind, if this is exactly where we want the graphic to be. And I think that's pretty much spot on. So we can press this one down, rub this down with our finger like so, and then very carefully peel the backing off from the rest and just lay that gently on top like so. And then starting at the end that we started with, this point here, then use our thumbs to just carefully and firmly press that down. Now doing it inside has a huge benefit because the plastic's warm and the graphics are warm as well. Now these are the 3D gel graphics, and it is important to do this in the warm. If we're doing this in the garage, we really need to heat the garage up to about 15 degrees to give the glue, the adhesive that's behind these, a really good chance to stick. So that's the first one done. Then it's the same process for the others. Let's move on to the next one. So with the next panel we're going to do, it looks like the key thing that we need to get correct is this cutaway where the bolt is going to hold it back onto the bike. So we need to be able to remove that one small piece. I've used a hobby knife to take it off, and then that way when we mount it in a moment we can get this centralized absolutely spot on so that it doesn't look strange. Now there is this particular graphic has got two parts. This one here, we're going to cut this one off so that we can mount this finally when we're finished. Now we've separated the second part, which we'll put on last. Now we can start mounting this, and again we want to start in the trickiest area because this is the one that's going to be visually most important. So we're just going to do the same as we did earlier on. We're going to start in one corner, just take a small amount of that backing paper off, like so. Doesn't have to be an awful lot, and we're just going to trim that off. Now that enables us to reposition this should we need to. So I'm going to look on top of the camera and make sure I've got that note. Just tap that down with my fingers. So then we can just lay it on top. We're not going to push that too hard at the moment because we want to move around and make sure that we've got our graphic in the right position. Now as you can see, I'm slightly out. It's got more gap up here and it's sticking over the edge at this end. So what we need to do is just gently lift that off and reposition it. And I think we need to go a little bit more that way. So carefully repositioning the graphic. I think this time when we have a look, we can just fold this over. That is looking like it's going to be, it's an equal distance all the way along this edge here, and I think that's probably in the perfect place. So we can then use our fingers just to push this down a bit harder on this bottom edge around the bolt hole, and then very carefully we can peel the rest of this off. Be careful with your fingers, but as we've cleaned our fingers, we shouldn't be putting any oil on there, and we can then ever so gently so now that's looking like it's in the perfect position. So then working with your two thumbs, slowly working outwards towards the edge, we can slowly make sure that adhesive is really stuck. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this first section. Now we need to just fit this one. Again, it's the same process as before. Start with one end, take a small amount back, cut the backing paper off, and then we're going to mount it. So let's have a look and just see where we think we might like that. And I think somewhere like so. So just push down one end first, firmly with your thumb, and then just make sure again that that looks like it's going to be in the right place, and I'm fairly happy with that. So then carefully peel that back, take the rest of the backing paper off, and then if I can do this in front of the camera while watching what I'm doing, make sure that that is in line with the rest of the graphic. And then again, just work that down with your thumbs and make sure that everything is firmly on. So we got our first panel done. Well, actually we got our 2 panels done. Now we can move on with the last one. So our 3 panels are ready to go back on the bike, but what are we going to fit on the front fender? Well, this is the kit that I ordered. I don't think I'm going to use all of it. I think it'll all look a bit too much. The red, the blue, the black, the carbon and the white. But I think we're going to use a combination of them. So I'll cut them up here in the kitchen. And then I can take them to the bike and see what I'm going to fit. But I don't think I'm going to fit the whole kit, but we'll use part of it. Let's go and have a look. So the preparation for the front fender is exactly the same as we've already done on the side panels. We need to wash everything down with warm soapy water, and then we need to use our alcohol pads to make sure that the surface of these plastics is completely oil and contamination free, so that when we put our graphics on, the adhesive has got plenty to stick to. So in this graphics kit, there are in fact a total of 10 graphics. 5 on the left and 5 on the right. And for me, that's just a little bit too much. There's already quite a lot of red, white and blue going on with the rally version. And I think for me, adding these additional red elements, which would mount on here, and the blue would mount on the very front, is a bit too much. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to use half the pack. The carbon effect actually blends in and is a perfect match for the parts that we fitted on the side. So we're going to mount that on the bottom here. And then we're going to use 1 white element on this flat surface. There is an additional white element, which is this one here, which you can mount on the top. But again, I think for me that's a bit too much. And always with this sort of job, you don't have to fit all the graphics that come in your kit. So I think I'm going to mount just 2 and then give it a couple of weeks and have a look and see how I feel about it. Now, coming up very soon, I need to change my tyres. And there's going to be an episode about these Michelin Anarchy Adventure tyres and what I'm going to replace them with. And at the same time, what I might end up doing is taking the fender off and doing a carbon wrap on the front and on the rear. Now, I've done this before on my multi-shotter. I'll put some pictures up. The end result is actually pretty good. So I might do that at a later date. Again, it might be too much. I need to have a look and spend some time thinking about what I might do. So let's clean the bike and start with the installation. So everything's now clean and ready for us to install the graphics. So I am going to stick to just the 2. I'm going to mount the carbon one first. We're going to cut the backing paper off on the bottom bit here, leaving us enough room to put the white graphic on top. So all we're going to do, same as we've done in the earlier process, we're just going to peel the bottom off, which is easier to do off camera. So now with the very bottom edge of the backing paper cut off, we can very carefully just line that up on the bottom. Just 1 tap with our fingers. What we have to be careful with this particular graphic is the carbon effect is very close to being the same width as the plastic. So we do have to mount this very carefully, but I think, looking at that, we are actually pretty close. So we're just working that bottom edge in, work outwards, thumb on the bottom, and as you can see, it's not as flexible as it is inside because it's quite a bit cooler. So we can then slowly start to work that in. So, and it is very different when the garage is cold. It is not as easy to do as it is inside. The graphics are much less flexible. Okay, so that's the bottom one on. We're going to do the top one next. Now what's key here is this flat element here on the plastic really does have to be in line, otherwise it's going to look very odd. So we're just going to offer this up to the right place and very carefully just touch this bottom side and have a look. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And then, that's better. Okay, and then press that firmly towards those outer edges with our thumbs. and just make sure I've got everything flat, but I think that's what I'm going to stick with. So I'm just going to go with the 2 for the moment. I'll do a walk around of the bike now so you can see what everything else looks like. So I hope you've learned something from today and you found it useful. These graphics are really very easy to install. The 2 key things are taking your time and preparation. If you clean your panels thoroughly, these graphics don't lift, they don't peel, and you'll get many years use out of them before you need to change them. Now, all of the graphics I installed on my bike today and the ones that I've installed in the past, I've bought with my own money. I'm not sponsored or supported by anybody, but in the description to this video below, you're going to find affiliate links. Now, what are affiliate links? They're a way to help you find the product and buy it very easily, but I also get a kickback from the manufacturer of a couple of euros, depending on what you buy. But what I'll also do, I'll separate it into North America, Europe and the United Kingdom, because depending on where you are in the world, the links will be different. So it just makes it easier for you, a bit more work for me, but hopefully you'll have fun. Now, you don't have to fit these graphics. There are so many different colors and different options to choose from. The key thing is having fun and making some changes. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you very soon.